Hello and welcome. My name is Jack Lanchas, and I'm going to run you through some of the on-page upgrades we've made to make your life a little bit better and to get you better Google results. So one of the major changes we've made and improvements is under the hood, where we're talking about our main content detection. So one of the benefits and one of the reasons you get the most accurate results with on-page is because we do everything we can to crawl the web like Google. What do I mean? Well, let me show you an example. Here's a typical article web page. And what we do is we focus in on the main content like Google does, so that we omit things like the advertisement. Maybe you have a whole bunch of unrelated stuff in the sidebar, and this provides us with more accurate results. So we're not giving you misleading suggestions like some of our competitors does. So if you've ever used some of our competitors, you might have seen things like, hey, add 42 H2 subheadlines. And that's because they crawled like a category, or they have a whole bunch of stuff in the sidebar that just wasn't representative of the main article. Or, you know, a whole bunch of images on the right-hand side, or little thumbnail things that just don't have anything to do with the main content, right? So we focus in on the main content, so you won't get any misleading things. Like, for instance, like the footer, like copyright. You're not going to get that with on-page because we're focused in on the main content. Awesome. So it works well with most pages. However, there are e-commerce hybrid pages, which are a bit trickier. So if I open up Best Buy, here we have essentially Best Buy, which is great. Now, what's the main content in here? Now, is it this kind of category at the top? Is it going to be all the, I'm scrolling down, is it going to be these televisions that are being listed? So on e-commerce, we would essentially say, okay, cool, the products are going to be the main content. But then we run into an issue, and I'm going a bit fast here, but then we run into an issue where some of e-commerce pages have a whole bunch of products listed, but then at the bottom, we also have an article. So things get a bit more complicated when we run into these types of pages. And essentially what you need to know is we've adapted and we've adjusted for this. So whenever we detect a hybrid e-commerce page, so you got half, products, half categories, half article at the bottom. Now we're crawling all of it. So this is done automatically inside on-page. And we're just going to crawl the entire article, especially with hybrid pages. And if it's a normal article, then we're going to crawl that properly as well. We've made changes to essentially adapt and adjust. Now, here's the cool part. If ever you want to force one way or the other, you go into the options right here. And then here we have compatibility mode. So if ever you have a page and it just didn't find, you don't feel like it found everything that it should have found, click on the compatibility mode. It's going to crawl absolutely everything. And if ever you want to do the opposite, you just want to focus on the main content and you want to force that, you click on force main content. Cool. So those are two new options. But by default, what we've done is we've created a system that will automatically detect and scan the appropriate, use the appropriate method to scan it. So you essentially don't have anything to do. You just keep on using it as usual, and you're going to get even better results these days. All right. Now, within here, we actually have another option that we've just added called Deepscan. Now, Deepscan crawls more pages for additional results. Now, this might take a bit longer to do because we're just going to go deeper and find more results. But if you just click it, you could have deeper scans. So let me show you an example. Actually, I'm going to load an example. Here, let me show you an example. I think there you go. Left-handed gaming keyboards. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click Deepscan. We're going to let it run. It takes a little bit longer than usual because we're just going to go deeper and get you more refined, more word suggestions, and we're just looking at more the web. Now, do you always want to use this? I'd say I still use, most of the time I get great results just using it regularly, not using a Deepscan option. It doesn't cost anything extra, but I do typically, I still use it without most of the time. But if you want, we have Deepscan, and now it's just going to go deeper. It's going to look at more results. And yeah, here you can actually see the reflected things. And if you expand it, now we have even more suggestions for you. So that's one of the options that we've added, Deepscan. So we've gone over the new changes with on-page tool. Oh, actually, no, not everything. Okay, cool. This is another thing that we've added where I do have, we have optimization on a page level. We have optimization on a categorization level. And I also have a special algorithm I wrote in order to do linking with relevance. So these are internal link recommendations. And this is actually, it's just at the bottom. Well, some people might just omit it, but it's actually one of the most important things you could do. This provides power to the page that you're trying to rank. So previously, we just give you suggestions on internal links, some of the most powerful internal links you could give yourself on the site. And now we go one step further, and we're going to check to see if they're actually there or not. So here, I can see that we have an internal link from the homepage. That's great, but we don't have an internal link from this page or this page. So you just click here, copy, and you could go give yourself an internal link, and this page will usually rank better because of that. Now, so these are going to change the modifications or the upgrades that we've made to the on-page tool. More are coming pretty much all the time. But now let's go to the other feature, brand new feature we've added. So it's in predictive link building. I tried to integrate it as well as possible. And now with predictive link building, usually this is used to determine the category of the domains, right? So by category of the domains, that's what it is by default. You paste in a giant link list and we'll tell you all the categories of all those domains. So you could pick and choose the best ones to get guest posts from. That's kind of like the main idea behind it. And however, now we've added a link functionality. So if you want to check individual links, you could go paste in a whole bunch of different links here, and I'll tell you the category of each and every single link. Why would you want to do this? What's the idea? Well, if you want to check a website and see how topically aligned it is, or if you're looking for niche edits, there's a whole bunch of applications, but let me show you one. So let's say you want to paste in and you want to check all the categories of the pages on your own website and see where they land. One of the ways to get the link list, well, there are many ways of getting a link list. You could look at your sitemap, copy, paste it in here. You could actually go into Google Search Console. I'm going to show you this method. So you put in your domain here into Google Search Console, you click on coverage. So your domain here, you click on coverage, then you go into valid. And then once you're in valid, I would go submitted and indexed. And once you're there, you could just go export. So let's go here and we're gonna export all the URLs, all your indexed content to Google. So this is all the content that Google really cares about. So I'm gonna click here on Google Sheets. And now what we're gonna do is it's going to load. It's going to look, this is the default thing. And you go into table right here. And we're going to expand this. So these are all the pages that Google has found on your website and have indexed. So the Google cares about all these pages. I'm going to just copy paste all, or just basically copy these pages. Actually, I'm not going to do all of them. Just, it'll be quicker if I don't, but normally you would just take absolutely everything. Just dump it in there. Now, where you go back here. And we just paste in all our domains. I'm going to remove the contact page because we don't really care about that one. But you can scan it too. And now I make sure you're on links. We're going to click submit and I'm going to click confirm right here. And now what it's going to do, and we're going to do it live right now, is it's going to check the category of every single page here. So you can see how you're doing in terms of a topical alignment if you're going for that. Or if, let's say you're looking for niche edits on a website, you're like, okay, cool. I want to get this webmaster's said he could give me any link on any page of my website, which one do I want? Well, you could just plug in a whole bunch of his URLs and check quickly like that. It has applications on building a better site for yourself. If you want to make sure that if you want to give yourself a lot of internally related links. So if you want to go further than our algorithm here, which gives you 3 recommendations, and you say, okay, I want to get I want to get 7 internal links that are all related, you could use this. But now here we go. So here are the results. And you can see that here we have essentially content in arts and entertainments, games, computer hardwares and electronics, and it'll tell you the category of all the pages. So here at a glance, you can see that most of this site falls into computers and electronics, and it falls into gaming and computers and electronic, gaming, even a bit of shopping. That's where the website lands in. So now to kind of give you an example of how representative this is, if I actually go and I remove this and I switch it back to domains, right? So now we're just going to check the category of the domain. I'm going to click submit, click confirm, and this should land in computers, hardware, and games. And that should be the main category that we find for this. So let's take a look. All right, cool. So as we saw, when we scanned a whole bunch of URLs, we were falling into computers, electronics, games, domains. This is essentially a good representation of what the domain is. And we just kind of saw it. If I load it back up here, when we had the whole scan here, we had games, we had computer electronics and so forth. So this was kind of what we were seeing. And if you want to say, this is breaking it down individually. And if you want to see just that one domain, then you could just go back into domain mode and just scan that one domain. And it's a good representation of it. There you go. So, let me show you another example. This is fun. Let's say you're like, okay, I want to build most of my stuff in the same categories. We ran an agency here, and we ran a whole bunch of pages. You can see that they're all in business, industrial, web services. So this is really the very, very, very topically aligned website where they're very, very narrow into one industry. These are the new features that are in On-Page. We're still developing a whole bunch more. If you have any questions, comments, let me know, and I will talk to you soon. Thank you for using On-Page.